Well, I'm probably visible somewhere, so let's get visible. Hello, this is the Let's Get Visible show, and let's get me on camera and say, I don't know why my stream isn't working, but we'll stream it later, I guess. So, welcome. This is the Let's Get Visible show, and today it's all about podcasting to get you visible. So, we're going to tell you why podcasting is so valuable for you. And later on, we'll probably go into it in more depth. But for today, we're just going to talk about podcasting and why you should be podcasting. So I've said podcasting quite enough, I think. So let's get started. Welcome. Let's get out there. Let's get visible. I'm Jane-Gardner. I work with my husband in our structural engineering firm. And we live in Western Canada. I'm an artist. We love our cats and dogs. And 2018, I got really interested into TV and possibility of getting TV channels on TV. And now I have 4 that are broadcasting on Roku and Fire TV. And I have a TV channel system that will get you from invisible to having your own TV channel as a producer if you wish. So we have been talking about storytelling at the beginning, and we have gone and talked about mindset, website. We've also talked about voice. We talked about interviews, and we are just going to check something. And we talked about interviews, and actually we've skipped YouTube, but we haven't really skipped YouTube because we'll probably do it later. We're doing podcasting today, and so then we're going to do some books and how to use your voice for audiobooks, and then we're going to talk about, what are we going to talk about next? Getting on video, getting into doing a show, doing social media, speaking. And then we're going to talk about, at the very end, text, book publishing, Medium, and other places to put your text to get your voice out, to get your message out. And so we are going to probably think about where we are in terms of our show. But for now, we looked at why you should be visible. You stop hiding. I need to show your personality. Show up on a regular basis like I do every Wednesday, Thursdays as well at 8 a.m. And mindset is everything. And we talked about how a website can make you visible. And we talked about how influencers can boost your business by being interviewed by you, increasing your audience. And so today we're going to talk about podcasting to increase your visibility. And so what is a podcast? Well, people are listening to podcasts everywhere, and the podcasts provide your content in an audible format to reach a wider audience. So you use your voice. I also have one with video, so that's the possibility as well. And we'll look at them later quickly. And so what is podcasting and how does it grow your business? Well, they're audio files that can be streamed online or downloaded. Listeners can choose what they want to listen to when they want to listen to it. So it is a place for you to store and get people to listen to your podcast on a regular basis. Each episode covers a certain topic that's related to your niche, and podcasting can help your business in many ways. So it can, they're very popular, obviously, right now. And they love podcasts because they can listen to them while they're commuting, exercising, or going about their daily business. For most people, audio is an easy way to digest information than reading text. And of course, a podcast can add your personality to your marketing. Instead of just reading your content, your audience can actually hear you speak. It's another point of contact you have with them. And of course, you have a worldwide audience with podcasting. You can lead them to your website and other marketing channels. Anyone in the world can listen to your podcast, and you can reach people who don't read blogs, watch video, use social media, etc. And of course, you can monetize your podcast, but only if you've built a good following first. Monetizing strategies include getting advertisers or sponsorships or offering premium episodes. And of course, it's cheap and easy marketing. They can be used to grow your audience, gain exposure, and bring new leads to your other marketing channels. And also, it's extremely low cost. The gear you need to start podcasting is minimal, and posting your podcast on the internet doesn't cost anything at all. It's basically the storing of your podcast. And we'll talk about that next time. And finally, podcasts are beneficial to the world because they allow for different points of view. Anyone can start a podcast on any topic. Compared to radio, which has restricted programming that only certain individuals have access to, podcasts are democratic. You don't have to go through the regular channels to get your message heard. But of course, you can also build an online community. When starting your podcast, it's good to have a marketing and monetization strategy in mind. And think of it as a way to build an online community. Tap into any kind of news or content your audience wants to hear and indulge them. If your programming resonates with your audience and your podcasts are informative and entertaining, that your listeners can't wait for the next episode, it will lead to more exposure and eventual sales. So podcasts can do many things for your business, and a good podcast needs a focus. It needs to be about something specific, and the more narrowly focused, the better. A high-profile celebrity can get away with having a podcast about themselves and improvising, but as a marketer, you can't. Your podcast needs a unique angle, because this is what resonates with your listeners and keeps them tuned in. So, no matter the topic, your podcast needs to be focused, as we mentioned before, about the concept of storytelling. And basically, you tell stories or your guest tells stories, and people will come back again and again to listen to you. So as long as you have examples or stories about a certain concept, or your guest has stories about their challenges that they had in their life and how they overcame them, basically, if you have the way that the people can listen to their so-called hero's journey, how they had challenges, how they became successful, and then people can understand that and maybe do some of the similar things and have the same success. So people are always listening to learn from others about their success. So where do you start? Well, you could start with your passion. It's a natural place to start, and your interest. What could you talk about endlessly and never get tired of? So start by choosing a niche or topic that interests you and go from there. See if there's an audience for this topic by looking online at podcast directories, forums, social media groups, blogs, and so on. Are people talking about this topic as well? It's easy to produce great podcasts if you're enthusiastic about your topic. And of course, find out what your audience wants to know about or what they want more of. For example, if you have an internet marketing blog and people are constantly asking about social media, a podcast about social media would be a good idea. Do some research, and if your audience isn't vocal, ask them what they like. That's the simplest way to do it, is to ask. And of course, you can borrow ideas from others. You can go and have a look at other podcasts in directories you could look at. You could go to iTunes, see what's popular in your niche, pick a category similar to your niche, and find the highest rated podcasts. Ask yourself why these particular podcasts are popular. Take a popular show and put your unique twist on it. It's all right to cover a topic that's already been done if you can make it different or if you can make it better. You can also look at what's trending. Often the most timely podcasts are also popular. They cover topics that are in the news or trending in real time. Try to focus your podcast so that it covers the latest news in your niche. This will get your listeners to tune in to each episode because it's a source of valuable news for them. Once you have an overall topic, you can then brainstorm ideas for individual topics. This isn't hard to do if you keep the channels of communication open with your listeners. Seek their feedback and use it to choose future topics. Put a feedback form on your podcast page. If your podcast is popular, you'll get plenty of listeners and ideas. Another good way to get ideas is to carry around a small notebook and jot down ideas whenever you get them. Keep a backup list of times when you're stumped. And podcasts evolve and change over time. You may find yourself shifting your focus from what you originally planned. This is fine as long as it's still keeping your listeners tuned in. The key to a successful podcast is listening to your audience and giving them what they want. And of course, you can do this kind of research by having a look at what's popular and what's trending. And so some of the action steps that you can do when you're thinking about what kind of podcast to do, you can brainstorm a list of possible topics for your first podcast by looking at what you love to talk about, what your audience is interested in, what podcasts are popular in the market, and hot topics in your market. So have a look at those and figure out what kind of topics you might find of interest. And let me just, since we're going to talk about next week, these are the 3 podcasts, although one is a video cast, that I have in the world, as I say. Solopreneur Success Strategies has been on iTunes and everywhere else for a long time, so it has a lot of traction in terms of people still going to listen to it, and I should really start doing a new series. So when you are doing your podcast, consider doing seasons of your podcast. That way you don't get tired out. So I was in my 3rd season and I got kind of bored, so I've got to get it started again with my 4th season. And then finding your purpose is all about finding your purpose, because I like to talk to that with people and find out how they found their business and how they found their purpose. And Home Biz Startup TV is my TV show, but it also, I use it for a podcast, but it's a video cast. So iTunes, for example, has video casts, I guess we'll call them, on its network. So you can actually do video and do interviews and do shows in video. And it's been going pretty well, and I'm just considering now what I might do to continue on with it in terms of maybe I will try and interview others. But anyway, so we'll be talking more about my podcasts next time. So next time we'll talk about the equipment and software needed to podcast. And then we'll talk about my podcasts, and we'll have a look at what I use for my podcast. But we'll also look at other podcasts. What are they called? They're called podcasts. We'll call it podcast hosting. But I'll try and explain some of the background technology in terms of podcasts. It's different from video. Next time. So that's what we'll do next time. So that's just briefly what we're going to talk about, and always keep it key to being what do you want for getting visible. For today, I'm not sure what happened, but I may have not broadcast the show. I'm not sure why. I'll have to figure that out. If so, then I'll put it up as a recording in all the locations that I usually put it on. But next week on Let's Get Visible show, we'll be talking about podcasting again and the equipment, how a podcast works, and what my podcasts are doing in terms of statistics and where I host my podcast, so you can have a look at that. I don't think anybody talks about Libsyn is where I do mine. But anyway, because I value visibility, authenticity, and consistency, every Thursday at 8 a.m. I have the Let's Get Visible show, and you can get on the email notification list at http://jgtips.com/lets. And so I'll having tips, freebies, checklists, notifications, and offers to help grow your business by becoming visible. As well, I have on Wednesdays the Let's Go Live show every Wednesday at 8 a.m. And you can get on the list at https://jane-gardner.com/live. And also, right now we're talking about webcams. And we'll be talking about DSL camera for your studio and why it can be tricky. So that's it for now. We'll just go back to this screen, and then I am going to be quiet and figure out why I wasn't broadcasting today. Thank you.
Recording